There once was a time when every gamer on Earth, regardless of age, would get excited at hearing one thing.
EA Sports.
Big.
This is gonna be very, very interesting.
Where do I even begin with this game? There I am on Christmas Day in 2001. All the Christmas gifts are done when my dad tells me there's one more gift downstairs. My sister and I go down to see a PlayStation 2 hooked up to the TV with SSX Tricky already on and loaded. I couldn't believe my eyes. A PlayStation 2 in my house with a brand new game I had never even heard of before. There was only one thing to do. SSX Tricky is the sequel to one of the most original sports games I've ever played, SSX. Created by EA Sports Big, a subset of EA specifically for making arcade-style games, and let me tell you now, this is exactly that. SSX Tricky thrives in the idea that it knew exactly what it was going to be from its conception to end product. Completely over the top, brimming with character and ridiculousness. This comes from a time where there was almost no limit on how people would express themselves artistically, in the sense that this was the dawning of the age of information and technology. Ideas were flowing freely around one another and anyone had a voice. This shows in the breadth of characters this game had to offer. You want a ginger afro hippie flower child? In. You want an overweight American with a mullet sporting some skin-tight cheetah print? Oh hell yeah, in. You want a small Japanese girl teetering on the edge of possibly racist? You bet your ass. Just make sure to throw her next to the Eminem-esque rap culture infused white dude.
Whatever.
Seriously, who allowed all this? Music, fashion, and everything else in this game are a complete sign of the times, from the underground hip-hop and EDM music to the completely flamboyant sense of style and design we all know and possibly even liked during the early 2000s. From the start menu into the first event, there's a sense of high-flying, non-stop action packed into every pixelated inch of this game. And we can't even hold this game accountable for how it looks nowadays, as it was a triumph in its time. I remember looking at this game and noticing nothing but beautiful scenery and jaw-dropping size and stature from the courses, and the physics still hold up to this day.
Now you're cooking.
For the most part. These graphics were the shit back in the day. After not having played the game for nearly 2 decades, I wasn't surprised by how little I remembered about how it actually looked, except for the memories of course, but those were just covered in mid-air spins and this guy's afro. But even now, they're really not that bad. The only levels that don't entirely hold up are their most ambitious, like Tokyo Megaplex, where they packed in as much detail as a 1 megabyte of RAM and graphics processing would allow back then, but luckily it's everything else that saves this game. Holy shit, the physics in this game can be relentlessly wonky at times, but it is completely saved by the 90% of the time that they actually work. Carving and speeding down hills flows in perfect solitude with the flying through the air and hitting amazing tricks, and the game is rather consistent on when you do and don't land a trick. The interaction between multiple boarders on the same course is still fun. It's heart racing, and when there is a collision or you knock someone off their board, it carries the significant weight of oof, that happened. I actually felt that. It's amazing how many games from this time didn't have that same sensation between interactions of a player and their environment, and even some games today that same feeling can be completely absent. As a 20-year-old arcade-style game, there's really only so much content that you can expect to see, seeing as the game itself is meant to be played over and over with friends until you master every subtle nuance. With only 8 courses, a person can have them unlocked and beaten in just a few hours. But stop and ask yourself, well, how the hell do I remember playing this game for so damn long then? It's the idea that while you could have unlocked every course in just an hour or two, you didn't truly master any of them for a long time. In addition to that, having to complete every rider's trick book, which without a doubt was the hardest thing in this game, meant that you had so much to do with every single character, for which there are 13. That's a lot of moves. Each character does the same basic moves, which can be pretty repetitive and boring, but it is all in pursuit of filling that Uber meter and hearing those eventful words. And that's when everything changes. There are some Uber moves that are recycled between characters, but there's a significant amount of them to have it be pretty fresh between them, including a specific one for each rider that helps really bring each character to life. From breakdancing to whatever the hell this is. It just adds on the sense that you're in a place where for once in your life you get to break away from the mundane and take part in something truly extraordinary. Couple that with the boosting mechanic in game, and next thing you know, Shaun White can kiss your hairy nutsack. That's if he could even get close enough to do so, because chances are you're 2 minutes ahead of every other snowboarder on the track and probably hundreds of feet in elevation above them, spinning a board between your legs as an unknown voice whispers oddities into your speakers.
That is good. That is very good.
I'd like to add that I actually have nothing against Shaun White, but it helped drive my point home. Sorry, Shaun. Keep doing the do.
This is fun.
Wait a minute, drinks, you're 19 years old.
Yeah, I'm talking about Mountain Dews, baby.
Atmosphere is the strongest aspect of this game next to gameplay, of course. The music and the narrator Rozelle are absolutely legendary and not only fit the mood but carry an extensive amount of weight of this game. Each song has its place, and while I like some of them more than others, I've learned to like all of them. One of the subtle things that really hits hard without you even realizing is the moments when you're on a shortcut or super high in the air and the volume is subdued, and it really adds to the feeling of hang time or being out there off the beaten path.
Come on, hurry!
It is a very small thing but adds more than I thought possible. All in all, I'm not sure I've met or held a conversation with a single person that didn't have at least some sort of positive memory of this game. And with this being the 20th anniversary this year, it was a fun dive to go in and relive some of the most nostalgic feelings I've had in a long time. Of course, they made an SSX 3 and the SSX title for the Xbox, and while I didn't hate those games as much as the general population that played them, in fact, I'd even say I enjoyed them, they failed to capture even an ounce of character and feeling that Tricky offered. It was a game almost nobody asked for and even knew they needed, but it was a spark in the timeline of a bunch of goofy things going on in the world and holds a dear place in my heart.